Greetings, students. Today we are here for the last two lessons, which are very essential, which I am giving to you through the net. There could be more to learn according to your syllabus, but they are learned directly from your English for Nurses textbook, or alternately the essential language skills, especially the writing section like letter writing, report writing, paragraph writing. These type of things are learned better directly from the textbook. And there could also be even other grammar topics, like for example phrases and clauses, which is not easily understood if I put it through the net, because it needs a very personal presentation, and maybe only a direct blackboard teaching could help you to understand those type of complicated topics. So therefore, the last two net lessons, today's lesson is actually a continuation of that what we talked last, and that was how to transform a report from direct speech into reported speech. We transformed a number of sentences and types of sentences, like we covered negative sentences and positive sentences under statement type, WH questions and helping verb question under the interrogative types, the order sentences and the request sentences under the imperative types, and the WH exclamation and the feeling word interjection under the exclamatory type. Today we are coming to the next one, optative types. As I already told you earlier, optative sentences are not separated by, separately identified by many grammar books. They are simply part of exclamatory sentences. And yet, for clarity's sake, for easy to understand, we are separating it as optative types. The first one is a greeting. The sentence I gave you perhaps is there, if you remember your previous lesson. If it is in front of you, good morning teacher. This is a normal any classroom situation. Let me put it as reporting. Okay, the students said, comma, quotation, good morning teacher. This is a normal sentence in direct speech. Suppose we are to transform it into indirect speech. How do we go about it? First thing is, the students were actually greeting. So we are saying the students greeted. See, we are choosing a word that captures the context. The students greeted, and from the context we know they were greeting their teacher. Therefore, the students greeted their teacher. Very good morning. And that ends the matter. So you can see the comma quotation is removed. The word teacher over here is already shifted there. The word said has changed into greeted, and your reporting is complete. The students greeted their teacher a very good morning. I hope that idea is clear. Now we go to another sentence. I think you got it there earlier. Get well soon. This is what you speak when you go to meet a friend in the hospital or at home, whatever. Now let's say I said to my friend, comma, quotation, get well soon. This is indirect speech, get well soon. Suppose we are to transform it into reported speech. How do you do it? First you have to see what is your intention. What are you actually trying to say? Get well soon, if you see the structure, get well soon, looks like a command. But you cannot command. It is just not possible. It is not realistic. What you are actually saying is very important. You are praying for your friend that he or she should get well soon. Accordingly, we need to report. I prayed for my friend. I prayed for my friend that she might get well soon. I prayed my friend that she might get well soon. The first one was a greeting and this is a prayer. Another third situation very often we come across is my grandmother. My grandmother said to me, God bless you. Well, if that is a sentence, that is indirect speech. Now we are transforming into reported speech. My grandmother. Here you can see the context. Obviously the grandmother is blessing. So you can also use the word bless. My grandmother blessed me, saying. My grandmother blessed me, saying, God that God might bless me. My grandmother blessed me, saying that God might bless me. Well, alternately we can also say simply, my grandmother said, comma, quotation, my grandmother said that God might bless me. That is the easier way, but I think this gives the complete meaning. My grandmother blessed me, saying that God might bless me. Well, we have completed all the types of sentences from the direct speech that can be transformed into reported speech. Now I would like to go for a few sentences that you might have found difficult in the homework that I had suggested. You got 2 pages of homework in the previous 2 lessons. I am taking just a few of those sentences. One sentence that you have, and I am trying to change it for you. Therefore, watch carefully how it is done. The sentence is under question type G. Convert the following sentences into indirect speech, exclamatory sentences. The given sentence says, he said, what a pity you did not come. Repeating again, you locate that sentence. He said, what a pity you did not come. It is G, sentence number 2. I am not writing the question again, but I will give you how to change it. I will give you the answer. Obviously, it is an exclamatory sentence. The very question suggests that it is exclamatory sentence. Therefore, we change accordingly. He exclaimed. He exclaimed that. There is a joining word, remember. To remove the comma quotation, we use the joining word that. He exclaimed that. Now there is a word what, WH word, but its actual meaning is very. V-E-R-Y, very. So therefore, let's see. He exclaimed that it was a pity. That it was a pity that, again, it was a pity that I had not come. You are exclaiming to me, and therefore that you becomes I. That I had not. Why had not? Did not is past tense. Simple past tense becomes past perfect. Therefore, I had not come. That's the way it changes. Once again, have a careful look. He exclaimed that it was a pity that I had not come. Well, another difficult sentence under the same category, G, could be sentence number 4. G4. The sentence reads, hurrah, we have won the match, cried the boys. Now, this is a very popular sentence. You must have seen it in many of the grammar books, not just in one. And yet, let's see when it changes into indirect speech, what are the required changes. The first thing is, who said it? The boys. So we write, the boys obviously exclaimed. But here it is not WH type, it is hurrah. It is therefore a feeling word. And what kind of feeling is there? Excitement. So we say, the boys exclaimed excitedly. The boys exclaimed excitedly that they had won the match. Look at that again. The boys exclaimed excitedly that they had won the match. It catches the feeling of the boys when they cried, shouted, yelled. And that is the purpose of reported speech. I take one more sentence in that category. Again, you will find it G, this time G7. G7. The sentence reads, they said to him, how silly of you. They said to him, how silly of you. Now let's see how we change this. They exclaimed. They exclaimed that. They exclaimed that it was very silly of him. Watch it very carefully. They exclaimed that it was very silly of him. You might wonder how you got that word very. I told you that WH word or a WH word exclamation, when it uses words like what a beautiful, yeah, how beautiful, or anything of that type, what they actually mean is very beautiful. So similarly, when they exclaimed how silly, what they actually meant was very silly. And that's the reason we have transformed it into, they exclaimed that it was very silly of him. Let's go for another sentence under the category of interrogatives, meaning thereby question sentences. There, under the D part, sentence number 9, you will see the sentence, the top sentence there. Dear bird, she said, stroking its feathers, have you come to comfort me in my sorrow? Dear bird, she said, stroking its feathers, have you come to comfort me in my sorrow? It is again a very classical sentence, and it is an interrogative sentence. If you see the interrogation, have you come, meaning thereby there is no WH word, rather it is a helping verb question. So a helping verb question along with an initial phrase, dear bird, dear bird. Therefore, how do we change this sentence? Your answer in indirect speech will be we start with stroking its feathers. And here we know in the context, the it stands for the bird's feather, dear bird. Secondly, the word is there, dear. So let's say, dear. Dear means she was showing affection. Affectionately stroking the birds, affectionately stroking the bird's feathers, she asked. She asked. Now, since there is no WH word to connect, we use whether. Remember, you are absolutely free to use the simple word if, but we are using the word whether. Both have equal weightage. She asked whether she, here she refers to the bird, whether she had come. Whether she had come to comfort her in her sorrow. Look at that again. Affectionately stroking the bird's feathers, she asked whether she had come to comfort her in her sorrow. Well, I think that covers direct and reported speech. I believe all your major questions have been solved. If there are any difficult questions that come your way for whatever reason, from whichever source, let me know through that comment column so that I may be able to address your difficulties. For today's homework, please note page number 229, page number 229 from your textbook English for Nurses. Page number 229 for English for Nurses, that gives 2 pages of 229 and 230. 2 pages of number of sentences in direct speech that can be easily experimented by you to transforming into reported speech. There is one more, essential language skills. In that you will find it on page 30. In that you will find it on page 30, just one exercise which you can experiment changing it into reported speech. In the homework that I gave, also you could come across difficult sentences. So let me have a quick look. Anything that needs my help, if so, I am doing it straight away. The one I can find in your sentence, it is taken from that grammar book, English for Nurses. So it is from there, and here it is. The given sentence there, it is on page 229, and the sentence number is 6. Sentence number is 6. The sentence reads, "The poor woman exclaimed, 'Will none of you help me?'" I am writing also the sentence because you are coming across this first time. The poor woman exclaimed, comma, quotation, "Will none of you help me?" And a question mark, and thereafter. Actually, by itself it is not a difficult sentence, except that it might confuse you for use of certain words. If you look at it carefully, you will find that word exclaimed there. So you might wonder, is it an exclamation? And then you will find there a question mark at the end instead of the exclamation mark. And therefore you get into doubt, you get into confusion. Therefore, to clarify it, how do we do it? First thing to see is, what is the sentence for transformation? Will none of you help me? If you observe it very carefully, it begins with the helping verb will, and the part of the verb is away from the subject you, and that is help. Will help is the actual verb. In other words, structure wise, it is an interrogative sentence beginning with a helping verb. So it is a helping verb type of question. You don't exclaim a question, you ask a question. And therefore, your answer will be, the poor woman helplessly asked if none of them, that is the subject, if none of them, those who were standing in front of her at that time, if none of them will becomes would help her. Look at that answer very carefully. The poor woman helplessly asked if none of them would help her. Where did we bring in the word helplessly? The very fact that in the original they are using the word exclaimed obviously refers to her feeling at that moment of asking that question. Her feeling was one of helplessness. Therefore, we bring it out in the reported speech and say, the poor woman helplessly asked if none of them would help her. Similarly, in the same book, on the next page, there is a sentence on imperative type. The sentence is, same exercise, this time page 230, and the sentence number is 14. The sentence reads, halt. With the exclamation there. Shouted. The drill sergeant. Shouted the drill sergeant to his men. This is the original given. Halt, shouted the drill sergeant to his men. The exclamation mark is there after halt. Again putting you in doubt, is it an exclamation? And then it says, who did that? It was the sergeant who was conducting the drill. Obviously, therefore, the sergeant was commanding his men. And that is why the word halt should be understood as a command. Halt means to wait, to stop. So therefore, we change it now. The drill sergeant commanded his men to halt. And that's all. Because halt, taken as a verb, becomes infinitive to halt. The drill sergeant commanded his men to halt. And thank you, students, for making an effort to understand this direct and reported speech. It is a rather easy topic, only that you have to take the little trouble to understand the implied meaning in the words of the direct speech. Once you understand the implied meaning, your effort while you are transforming it is to convey the correct meaning. And if you do that, you have succeeded in direct and reported speech. Thank you.